Marco Fonto, the Managing Director at Stratum Benefits, joins us for this episode of What's Next. And I'm actually looking forward to it because Marco is going to explain to us something that remains a mystery to me. And I always question, why on earth do I need this? So hopefully you'll be able to provide some answers. And I'm talking specifically about gap cover, Marco. I mean, I have got medical insurance. And yet some people say, no, you need gap cover. You should get gap cover. So what is gap cover, firstly? Because many people haven't heard of gap cover. And can you explain what it is and what it does?
Good morning, Aki. Thank you so much for having me. So I take it you don't have gap cover, hey? So we're obviously going to have a conversation after this. Once again, thanks for having me, Aki. It's a pleasure to talk to you and everybody watching. Just in short, let me just tell you a little bit about Stratum Benefits, just so people know who we are, and then I'll get into what we do. So Stratum Benefits is a company, we started it probably more than 15 years ago. We're an independent company. We're not affiliated to any specific medical schemes. We cover in excess of 300,000 lives, which makes us the biggest gap cover provider in the country. We've got quite a lot of experience when it comes to dealing with these policies, as our policies were one of the first to ever be launched into the market all that time ago.
That's quite an accolade you got there. When you got 300,000 customers, you guys know what you're doing. And I like the fact that you're independent. You're not going to try and sell me something because you're getting a bigger commission from someone. You sell across the board, which is great.
That's right. We sell across the board. So any person that belongs to any medical scheme in South Africa can join Stratum Benefits and enjoy the cover. So we're not affiliated to any specific medical scheme.
Gap cover, without getting too scientific about gap cover, because I'm still trying to understand why I need gap cover. Why gap cover? Tell me about gap cover.
Well, gap cover is a very simple policy, Aki, and it's basically a policy that covers the difference between what your medical aid pays and what your specialist charges when you end up in hospital. So, for the people that belong to private medical schemes in South Africa, they are in a situation where their medical scheme is capped what they will pay per procedure. It's literally capped at a certain amount. The procedure is attached to a procedure code, and they say that they will pay a specific amount for that procedure code. That's their rate. That's what they pay. There's no, there's no negotiation in that. That is a set amount that they pay. The problem is that the majority of specialists or medical practitioners have their own rate. So they will charge a rate that they deem, justifiable for their time. And the gap that is created by those two differences is why you have a gap cover policy. You cover the difference, so you are not personally liable for that difference. Because if you end up in hospital and your specialist charges more, you are liable for that amount.
Okay. So then in that case, when you look at a prospective client, right? And a client says, well, why should I get gap cover if I'm already paying my medical aid, which you've explained? But then can that person not go on a higher medical aid plan and get themselves covered for that sort of thing? So, they've got the high-end stuff. But then, having said that, I know people who are on that high-end stuff and they've had some serious emergencies that the high-end stuff didn't necessarily pay either.
Yeah, look, the reality is that the majority of people, irrespective of what medical aid plan you're on, if you go into hospital, I'd say 95% of people going into hospital, either for an emergency surgery or an elective surgery, are going to encounter a gap. There's going to be a difference. And the reason for that is that, we have situations where the differences that are charged are quite significant. You're talking about certain providers charging 200% of that rate. You have certain providers that charge 600% of the medical aid rate. So no, it wouldn't specifically make a difference what kind of medical scheme you are on. Also, I mean, let's be honest. Most people are looking to save on their medical aid contributions. I don't often come across people that say to me, if only I could pay more for my medical aid. People generally pay, the most they can afford for medical cover, medical scheme cover. So from that perspective, it's really across the board. And I'd say it's the majority of in-hospital cases are going to attract a shortfall that you are going to be liable for.
Okay, so Stratum Gap cover, you guys have been around for over 15 years, as you mentioned. You're the biggest in the market. You're clearly doing something right from a service perspective and a great offering. But what are the reasons why people should come to you guys from alternatives out in the market? What makes Stratum stand out?
Well, I think what makes us stand out is the way we package and design our benefits. Because we've been in the market for so long, obviously our benefits and our products have evolved. When we started the business 15 years ago, I literally had my benefits on an A4 size paper, and then you turned the paper over, and that's where you filled in the application form. It was so small, and it was so simple. But as time has moved on, and as we've progressed, and as medical technology has moved, you have many more procedures, and you've got a lot more intricacies in the policy. So the policy has grown the way the medical scheme market has grown, and the way they've changed their products. Right. But just to give you a small, sorry, Aki.
No, I'm saying that's interesting.
Yeah. So basically, just if I can just have a look. I mean, I've obviously. The main reason why I think people, need to look at our policy is that it's really not a nice to have anymore. If I look at the amount of claims that we receive, and I look at the way that medical schemes have changed their benefits, and obviously they've brought in certain measures to, curtail their risk and to try, I wouldn't say stop people, but obviously they've got a certain amount that they can pay in claims, they've got a certain amount in contributions, and they've got to manage how much they pay out. And I think the way medical schemes have changed is that medical shortfalls are more likely, I'd say, as I said before, extremely likely. And also you have things that have been brought in, I'd say over, the last 5 or 6 years where co-payments are attached to certain procedures. So you might go into hospital for an elective procedure. You go and see your doctor. He says, I want you to go and do a scan or scope or something. And, before you even walk through the door of the hospital, you are asked to pay a certain amount up front. Now that could vary from 1,800 Rand to over 10,000 Rand. So before you've walked through the door, you already have a shortfall that you are liable to pay. Okay. So from that perspective, and also, that's the first step. So you already have an amount that you are now out of pocket to pay for this procedure. And I mean, if you look at just the amounts that we're paying, I mean, it's very common for us to receive claims on a weekly basis that are in excess of 100,000 Rand.
Wow.
That's 100,000 Rand gap cover claim. Okay. It's not uncommon for it to be 150,000 Rand. And I'm not, these aren't numbers that I'm, you always get people that want to scaremonger people into getting policies, but this is reality. I mean, this is what we do. This is our business, Yeah. So, we have these claims that come through, and I often wonder to myself, when we sit in our meetings and we obviously discuss the claims and we have to go through them, I wonder what would have happened to that family if they didn't have a Stratum Benefits policy. Where does 150,000 Rand, where does a family find 150,000 Rand, to cover a shortfall? Yeah. I mean, amounts like that could be catastrophic to a family. You know what I mean? It's yes.
You've recently changed your insurer. Why is this? Why has this happened? Why have you changed insurer?
Yeah, we had a bit of a situation last year where our insurer that basically had a relationship with for 15 years, um, we got a letter to say that they were under curatorship, and that was last year
Sure.
August. Obviously that was quite a big shock, and came out of the blue, and yeah, so that's why we had to look for an alternate insurer to cover our members.
Okay, and then and your new insurer, obviously, you've got the full bells and whistles and your full coverage and everything. But I guess at the end of the day, as an organisation, you guys have got certain risk as well. So you need to make sure that all is good for your customers at the end of the day.
Yes, it was a great concern. Unfortunately, the term curatorship is synonymous with insolvency. And obviously, that was our biggest fear when we received the news of the curatorship. We were extremely worried about the insurer going insolvent. And
Now, yeah, I mean, Marco, the one that I'm thinking about is Constantia, right? The liquidation of Constantia.
That's right.
That's
Liquidation.
crazy. It's crazy when you think about it, right? Because you've built this business up for 15 years, and now you face this massive risk. What did you guys do?
Well, basically, we were, to be honest, Aki, we were a bit panic stricken. It's a massive responsibility when you have, as I said, we have over 300,000 lives that we're responsible for. And not to mention that, we also have relationships with, over 1,500 financial specialists and, brokers who recommend our product. And because of that, I mean, it's a large responsibility. People in the financial service industry recommend us because they trust us. And our first responsibility was to our members to make sure that they wouldn't be let down in terms of the claims. And also our next responsibility was to make sure that we didn't let down any of our brokers in the financial services industry, because we didn't want to tarnish their reputation because they represented us or put us forward to their clients. So that was our major concern, but luckily we were able to move mountains with our new insurer. We found a home with Guardrisk Insurance Company, one of the largest insurers in South Africa. They worked with us every step of the way. We basically got done in a month what generally takes a year, largely due to their support and the unbelievable team that I have here at Stratum. And we got it done. We moved insurance cover on the 1st of September, and all of our members, we're safe and sound. And very, very grateful.
Marco, I mean,
that we were able to pull it
that's
off.
unbelievable, hey? I mean, I think about it, and I think because you probably handle hundreds, if not thousands, of claims every single month. And to be able to do that in such a crisis, I mean, that's quite astonishing. And you got all your claims paid and everything when this all happened. And you switched and everything was, your customers probably didn't feel it apart from, you telling them that we've shifted insurance cover. But, I mean, all the claims were paid and it was a seamless transaction.
Yeah, we paid 100% of all our valid claims for all of our active clients. We paid all of those claims. We didn't let anybody down. It was seamless. Obviously, in those situations, you do get a bit of panic in the market because you have a lot of information circulating in the media. We had clients calling in, and a lot of our the intermediaries that support us were concerned, but they trusted us. And amazingly, we didn't lose any clients. We didn't lose any clients. We honored all of our claims, and we stuck it through. So I'm very grateful to everybody out there who supported us during that period. But everything is good now, and we threw it.
Yeah. Well, listen, this is why you've been in the business for 15 years. You know, it's all about that customer experience and you know, making sure that it runs smoothly. And you know, these hiccups happen. I mean, you just look at globally at what's happening on some of the markets and everything. There is instability. So well done on guiding the ship through those tricky waters. When you look at the healthcare industry and health insurance, I mean, you obviously keep in tab with the trends and what's happening globally at the moment. What kind of significant trends are you picking up in 2023?
Well, I think the trend has sort of stayed the same. The trend has stayed the same. I think, if you look at our our economic situation, I mean, the economy is under a lot of strain, and I think people are experiencing hardship at the moment. So wherever they are able to cut costs, they are cutting costs. So I see the trend is basically people buying down on their medical scheme options, trying to cut that cost as much as possible. Obviously, they understand that they need the medical aid cover. But they are buying down, and in buying down, it does open up a lot more situations where you could experience shortfals. From that situation, it is advisable. You'd think I'm selling you gap cover now, but that is generally what is happening. People are buying down on their medical aid cover, and a way to mitigate a lot of that risk is to have a very well put together gap cover policy, because the amount of benefits that you get on the gap cover policy, it really is, it's broad. It really is it's unbelievable value for money when you go through and you see what we cover on our policy and how that can help you. Not just from an in-hospital point of view, even from things like casualty cover. You're generally speaking, these sorts of things, if you have children, or you generally fall off your roof, or your child slips off and cuts his head, it doesn't happen during the week. It happens on a Saturday at 6 o'clock in the evening. And the benefits that we have for that, to assist people with those sorts of situations, make the policy an extremely well put together product that actually works. It works in real life, and it's designed for real situations that take place. So I think that's generally the trend is, people are buying down, and because they are buying down, I mean, we would advise that they definitely have a look at our gap cover policies in order to cover shortfalls and potentially, more sorts of co-payments, or for instance, as you go down in cover, you have sub-limits that are, that are lessened due to the amount that you are paying for your medical scheme cover. So definitely, take a look at a gap cover policy. It's extremely affordable, and it offers you a really broad spectrum of benefits.
Yeah, I think the question people need to ask is, can they afford to take the risk? If you ever hit, like you mentioned, and you're going to pay out a huge amount of money, that's where the challenge comes in. How do people get in touch with Stratum and find out more about your products?
Well, they're welcome to chat to their financial advisor. Probably most financial advisors are associated with us and do market our products. They're welcome to go onto our website, www.stratumbenefits.co.za, and all the information is there. It's a seamless process. Or they're also welcome to call us at any stage. We can help everybody.
Wonderful stuff. Marco, thank you so much for your time. Marco Fonto, who's the Managing Director at Stratum Benefits, talking to us about the importance of gap cover. And as I said earlier, ask yourself the question, if you're watching this, is can you afford to take a hit if you don't have the cover in hospital? I mean, can you afford 100,000 Rand? Where are you going to find that money? Marco, thank you for your time. Thank you for sharing those insights with us.
Thank you so much, Aki. Thanks for having me.